This is a deep dive podcast covering articles published on Ecogate's blog, brought to you by Ecogate, the leader in on-demand dust collection.
Dust collection runs all day, burning watts, blowing cash away. Dust collection forgot to close the gate. Why's the airflow low and the cost so great? No more, turn your airflow into cash flow, saving thousands, literally thousands. Ecogate, watch your savings grow, yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. Today, we're really getting into the nuts and bolts of industrial ventilation. We're talking VFDs, and whether that Ecogate PowerMaster is really all it's cracked up to be, or if it's just, a bunch of marketing hype.
And it's a question we get a lot right. Because a VFD, that variable frequency drive, it's a pretty critical component.
Yeah, for sure. If you think about it, in the simplest terms, it's kind of like that dimmer switch you've got for your lights.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's for your factory's ventilation fans.
Yeah.
So they're only working as hard as they absolutely need to.
Absolutely. And that can make a huge difference in terms of energy savings. I mean, we're talking potentially thousands of dollars a year if you're running your system at, say, 50% more capacity than you need to.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today, right? Seeing if Ecogate's PowerMaster VFD, which, by the way, is specifically designed for their greenBOX system, is really the best option out there.
Right. And that's key here, that integration. It's not just about the VFD itself, but how well it plays with the whole system to get that optimal performance.
Now, for listeners who might not be as familiar with the greenBOX, think of it like the brains of your ventilation system, right?
Yeah.
Monitoring everything, making sure things are running smoothly, and telling that PowerMaster how to adjust the airflow.
Exactly. And it's worth noting, they didn't just cobble this thing together. Ecogate built the PowerMaster on those really well-known platforms from ABB.
Yeah.
You've got the ACS 880 in North America and the ACS 580 in Europe.
And those are both known for reliability, right?
Oh, absolutely. They're workhorses. So right off the bat, that lends some credibility to what Ecogate's doing.
Smart move for sure.
Yeah.
Partnering with a company that's got a reputation for quality. But, for those listeners who like to keep their options open, Ecogate does work with some other VFD brands out there.
Yeah, they've got some flexibility. They list Danfoss and Tico Westinghouse.
Right, but let's be honest. We're here to really unpack this PowerMaster. We want to see if it lives up to the hype. Do those extra features actually translate into real-world advantages?
That's the million-dollar question. So let's dive in.
Okay, so let's dive into some of these PowerMaster perks. Ecogate lays out all these advantages on their website, but let's break down what they really mean. Like, they talk about a 1-minute setup wizard. Is that too good to be true?
Well, it sounds a little like, marketing magic.
Right.
But you got to remember, with traditional VFDs, they can get really complicated. We're talking hundreds of parameters to configure. Motor amperage limits, acceleration curves, communication protocols.
That's a lot.
Oh, yeah. Even for experienced technicians, this stuff can be a real headache.
So time spent troubleshooting really means downtime for the whole operation.
Yeah.
And that costs money. So how does this wizard supposedly make it so much faster?
So basically, Ecogate pre-programmed the PowerMaster with all the optimal settings for their greenBOX. So you plug it in, and boom, it already speaks the same language as the rest of your system.
So it really is plug and play.
Yeah.
But for industrial ventilation, okay, that's pretty impressive, I have to admit.
Yeah.
But let's say something does go wrong. Is there any kind of safety net with this thing?
That is a really good question. And the answer is yes. They've got something called manual mode, which is pretty slick. If the system detects any kind of problem, it automatically defaults to full fan power and opens up all the gates.
That sounds like a good way to avoid a disaster.
Exactly. It's all about minimizing panic.
For sure. And speaking of minimizing, they also highlight this single cable connection. Is that unusual in the world of VFDs?
Oh, yeah. With third-party VFDs, you often end up with this tangled mess of wires. But the PowerMaster, they streamlined it all down to one connection.
So simpler installation, probably less prone to errors down the line. It does seem like they put a lot of thought into making this thing easy to use, especially for the installers and the technicians.
Yeah, they definitely sweated the details.
And get this, error messages in plain English.
Hallelujah!
No more deciphering cryptic codes.
And you laugh, but that's a big deal. Clear error messages mean faster troubleshooting, less downtime, and happier technicians all around.
It's all starting to make sense now. It's not just about having a fancy VFD. It's about having a system that's actually designed to be user-friendly and efficient at every level.
Hit the nail on the head, and this is where that tight integration we keep talking about between the PowerMaster and the greenBOX really shines. We're starting to see the bigger picture here.
This is why we do these deep dives. Okay, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we've got that side-by-side comparison chart to get through. In the article, Ecogate really lays it all out there. What are some of the key differences that stand out to you? The things that really highlight why this integration thing matters so much?
Yeah, let's get into the weeds a little bit. One of the things that jumped out at me right away was this whole fee to integrate line for the third-party VFDs.
Okay, fee to integrate. That sounds ominous. What's the deal there?
Well, it's kind of where the rubber meets the road in terms of cost. See, even if you've got a third-party VFD that's technically compatible with the greenBOX on paper, getting them to play nicely together, it's not always a walk in the park. You might be looking at hiring a whole team of engineers, developing custom software, hours of testing.
So basically a whole lot of hidden costs that people might not even be thinking about.
Exactly. So yeah, the third-party VFD might look cheaper up front. But when you factor in all that extra integration work, it can end up costing you way more than you bargained for. Whereas with the Power Master,
It's already ready to roll.
plug and play, baby, designed to integrate seamlessly right out of the box. That means a much faster setup, lower upfront costs, and let's be honest, a whole lot less stress for everybody involved.
Yeah, less stress is always a good thing. Okay, another thing that caught my eye on this chart is that the Power Master has those built-in pressure sensors as standard. Most of the third-party options don't include that. Why is that such a big deal?
Those pressure sensors are like having a team of tiny little watchdogs stationed throughout your whole ventilation system. They're constantly monitoring everything, looking for any sign of trouble.
Okay, I like that analogy.
And if something seems off, they're going to bark.
Right.
So it's like an early warning system.
Yeah.
That can help you catch potential problems before they turn into big, expensive disasters.
Right, so you're not just reacting to a problem, you're preventing it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how all these features contribute to that peace of mind that Ecogate keeps talking about.
Exactly. And speaking of peace of mind, let's talk about this whole protection against duct system implosion thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds a little intense.
It's a real risk. If, for some reason, your fan's going full blast, but some of the gates in the system are closed, it can create this powerful vacuum, like strong enough to actually crush your ductwork.
Oh, wow. That's not good.
Yeah, not good at all. Imagine the chaos, the repairs, the downtime, not to mention the cost.
So the Power Master prevents that from happening.
It does. Remember those pressure sensors we were talking about? Well, they're also designed to detect those sudden pressure drops, and if they sense that happening, they'll automatically shut the whole system down before your ductwork becomes modern art.
Okay, that's one less thing to worry about. Anything else on this comparison chart that really stands out to you?
You know, one of the things I really like is the remote parameter adjustment.
Okay, yeah, tell me more about that.
So with the Power Master, you can basically troubleshoot or fine-tune the entire system from anywhere in the world. No need to send a technician out there physically.
That's pretty slick.
Oh, it's huge. It saves so much time and hassle, and we all know time is money.
That's for sure. So, I mean, we've covered a lot of ground here. From the basic idea of a VFD to all these detailed advantages of the Power Master. But at the end of the day, what's the takeaway for our listeners who are trying to decide if this is the right investment for them?
Don't get hung up on the price tag. I mean, yeah, the Power Master might cost a little more upfront than some other VFDs on the market, but you got to look at the big picture, the total cost of ownership. Think about the installation costs, the maintenance, the potential for downtime, and don't forget about those energy savings. When you factor all that in, a well-integrated, reliable system like the Power Master, it's a no-brainer.
It sounds like investing in a system like this is investing in peace of mind.
100%.
Awesome. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of VFDs. Thanks so much for breaking it all down for us.
Anytime. Happy to be here.
And for our listeners, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.